sneaking.
You're not supposed to see me sneaking. Sharon, I don't want you to watch the video that Adam's got. He's seen me sneaking a pickle. And I turn around there and video and me.
The evidence.
So one day a friend said to me, are you dating Richard? And I said, I think I am. Yes. You know, he just was so much fun to be around. And he has so many stories. I think I've heard them all. Pretty sure over the past 10 years I've heard them all. But every now and then he comes up with a new one.
He's gone from one scary life-threatening event to another scary life-threatening event till where he came to me where it was like, I might be able to have my life back. And his positive attitude about life and where life can take him and all the things he's done and wants to do still, that he just wanted to get home and continue living that life. So that made that process of training him to get home, that motivation that he wanted to be there, just facilitated and their success so much.
He surprised us at every point, from his interest to his belief and the strength of his belief and really his resilience and belief that he can do it and the positivity around it. I mean, what was fascinating is this man went through a lot. He never complained. He was never upset with anybody. And it felt like he almost had forgotten this major event that happened, that we were all scared for him to go through another complication. So we were being very cautious, and yet Richard was the one who was pushing us.
He's warm, he's loving, he makes me laugh almost every day.
Eh?
Oh, you jerk. You are such a jerk. I'm freaking out here.
Oh my God, that lady. My name is George Richard McGregor. I am originally from Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, and then I grew up lots in London. So that's basically where I'm from, London, I would say London, Ontario. So I hitchhiked across Canada, and I had an aunt and uncle that lived here in Quesnel. I ended up here in Quesnel, and that was in 1959, 1960. When I was here, the pulp mill was just starting to be built, and they were looking for people and what have you. And I was the office manager of a place in Ontario, and I was fed up with the big life of the big city. And BC seemed to be a place there was lots going on when I was here, and I wanted to stay part of that. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the hunting. I enjoyed going to the fishing. Everything was so close by. Quesnel was quiet. It was nice. Everything was available to you. You could do whatever you wanted. So I said to my wife, "We're going to sell out, move to Ontario or to BC." And then I went into my own business, with my partner, and we. We're in business for over 33 years. I retired about 10 years ago, maybe longer, because time goes by so fast you never know. And my wife got sick, wanted me to retire. I got retired and she died shortly after. So that's basically where I've been in my life. I work with my hands quite a bit, and I like to build, and I did quite a bit of, I built everything here. I built the chapel out the back there, and I keep telling Sharon I'm going to build a chicken coop. But she says, I don't think so.
But you built this house, eh?
Yes, with the help of her friend. I was 60 years of age, and I said that I had to do something with this property before I got too old. I bought an old 8-end tractor. We cleared the property, we plowed, we harrowed, we did everything, and then I had a fella come out and drilled a well for me. I witched the well myself. We got the well in, we got the hydro up, and then Steve going out with me, and we built the place. I go golfing about 2 times a week, 2 days a week with my friend. And we go visit we go walking up at the arena. We go walking around there. Then we go have coffee with our friends and go to church on Sunday. Yeah, pretty simple.
I met Richard when I had my setup for my tin sign business. They had a little bit of a fair going on in the local mall. So I had it set up, and Richard and one of his daughters, Cheryl, came by the booth and were looking at the signs. And there was a round one that said Dick's Deli on it. And he picked it up and said, "Oh, this must be for me." And I said, "Oh, your name must be Dick." He said, "Well, it's Richard, actually, Richard McGregor." And I said, "Oh," I said, "I grew up with McGregors down in Langley." And he said, "Oh, my cousin Jim?" And I went, yes. So that was that. So we chatted a bit, and then off they went. And then they were back the next day. And Cheryl was kind of going, with the elbow, "Dad." So, she was telling him to ask me out for coffee. And so he did. And I said, "Well, I was totally not interested in dating anybody." So I said, "Well, I'm very busy, and I'm going away for the whole month of February. I have some shows to do, and I'm doing a bit of traveling. And, here's my number, give me a call, So I came home to an answering machine full of messages. We set for a dinner for the following Friday, and that was it. We did something together pretty much for the next 2 weeks. Whether it was going for a drive or going somewhere for coffee or visiting or, just spending time together. And by that summer, we were living together. Yeah. When Richard and I had met, he was just finishing up his chemotherapy. So, he was in good health. We ended up doing a lot of traveling. So we spent 5 years going down to Arizona every winter. And then his health started to deteriorate with the kidney. And then on top of that, we discovered he needed a quadruple heart bypass.
I had colon cancer, and I was on chemo for 7 months. But the operator took most of my colon out. And I went on chemo for 7 months. And I met Sharon when I was on chemo. And then I had open heart surgery, had a quadruple bypass, which almost did me in. And they did that. So I've got a scar from the bottom of my neck to the bottom of the thing. It looks like they sliced me open all the way at one time or another. But yeah, there's a few things that happened to me over the years. But I've been a good Catholic, and that's what's kept me going. I was only born with one kidney. So as I got older, the kidney got less and less and less. I ended up going to see Dr. Singh. My doctor had sent me to see Dr. Singh. He encouraged me, and he very, very open about what was going to happen or what happens or what goes on. And Dr. Singh says, "Yeah, it's getting down. And when they said I was down to about 5%, I went down up to Prince George and went in, and they tried to put a tube in my stomach, but I had too much scar tissue from other operations that I had. And they nicked my bowel. They almost killed me. I almost died in there. In fact, when we did get out, the doctor said, "I never thought you'd get out."
I first met Richard, I think once in the kidney clinic. So I came across him, and I found him extremely funny, great sense of humor. And I found it very hard to focus conversations because he would crack jokes. And it was hard for me to know that has he understood what I was talking about. But soon after I realized how smart he was, he was able to understand the discussion, the discussion point, but because of his sense of humor, he just makes it very light. So it was very interesting. That was the first time I met him, and we talked about different dialysis modalities, and he was extremely keen to preserve his quality of life. And he was on the path to receive the peritoneal dialysis catheter, which is when I met him the second time. And sadly, this time it was after a complication, because he had a complication which is rare after surgical insertion of a peritoneal dialysis catheter, that his bowel perforated. And so I met him. When I saw him after his surgery, he was very sick. We weren't able to have much a conversation, but his kidney numbers had declined because of the stress of this event. And he was very close to obviously going on dialysis. That was the reason he was receiving the peritoneal dialysis catheter. But this complication made it imminent. So he was in our high dependency unit, being monitored, very sick. And Sharon was by his side, and I go in and I explained to Richard that his kidney numbers were so low that we need to think about initiating hemodialysis suddenly, like as an acute intervention.
I'm Susan Rawlings. I'm patient educator for the Home Hemo program out of Northern Health. It's a job that I love and I've been doing for several years. It allows me to be engaged with my patients and empower them to take control over a life that's been turned upside down by the introduction of kidney disease in their lives. So hemodialysis is the process of washing your blood. When kidney failure occurs, the kidneys aren't able to remove that waste anymore and control our electrolyte balances completely. So dialysis steps in and it helps remove that excess waste and water because you're not peeing anymore or not as much. It also allows the body to reabsorb some things that it may need that that the body's not able to reabsorb because of the kidney function or lack thereof. So it almost mimics what the kidney does. It's not quite as effective. And patients, because it's not as effective as the kidney, have to monitor things they eat, how much fluid they drink. So many different things impact their lives when their kidneys aren't functioning that we modify so much with medications, diet, and of course, dialysis.
I remember putting in the dialysis catheter. He did really well. And we started hemodialysis acutely. So after a couple of days, as I saw him, recovering from his wound and slowly getting better, he tells me that, well, this is temporary. What's going to happen next? And he is constantly would ask us, what can we do to overcome? What does he need to do to go home?
Well, it was very, very hard getting through some of those things. So sometimes you said, well, what the hell?
We were driving back and forth 3 times a week from Quesnel to Prince George. That's an hour and a half each way. That's 3 hours out of your day. Then you're there. Then you come home, and so it was a chunk, and your week revolved around that. Totally revolved around it. So to get into the treatment, the training was paramount.
Well, a friend of mine here in Quesnel, they invited us over to their house, and he's on hemodialysis or on home dialysis. he was still going golfing. He was still having all the things that were going on. So that's what give us that's what we should be doing also, you know.
And that was huge for us, to see that machine, to see Trevor hooked up to it, you know, having the dialysis and, you know, laying there talking to us, you know, just visiting. It was so helpful. Because other than that, we didn't know what this was going to look like unless we went on YouTube and, you know, tried to find some information on it. You can look at all the pictures you want, but until you see it, you know, and understand how it's working and what it does.
My goals are to live for another 10 years or more. And one of the nicest and the best nurses that we ever had is Susan. Susan has got to give us a lot of good advice. She has been fantastic to us, you know.
Home hemodialysis is being able to take a dialysis machine home with you in your own home, have the support of the team, being your nephrologist, your nurse, your dietitian, your pharmacist within the renal program, support you at home, plus a biotechnical expert that will be able to help you with your machine if there's any issues with the machine. Choosing to do home dialysis allows you a lot of options and benefits. Options are that you get to choose the date, time, where you want to do your dialysis. You don't have to leave your community. You don't have to leave your friends and family and support. In Northern Health, where we have 2/3 of the province that we're covering in only 3 dialysis units, if you want to do in-center dialysis, you're moving. Essentially, you're moving because you can't travel 3 times a week 800 kilometers for treatment. It's just not feasible. So by choosing to do home dialysis, you can stay in your home. We'll support you in your home. We'll give you a machine. We'll give you the equipment that you need, and we'll give you the knowledge and expertise that you need to run your own machine at home. It also will give you more freedom of diet, fluid intake. Quite often, blood pressure medications can be decreased depending on how frequent you dialyze and how effective it is. So we have patients that dialyze 4-5 nights a week. They dialyze while they're sleeping at home. They live perfectly normal lives during the day. They have no diet restrictions. They have minimal medications that they need. And that's because they're getting closer to what their kidneys would do if their kidneys were working. Whereas in-center, you get 3 days a week. You're going to have the big roller coaster of feeling well, not feeling well. It also empowers you to have control over your life again, being able to choose to be at home, to travel if you so choose to travel. Just being able to have your family come in and be with you when you're sitting on the machine, watching TV in your living room or sleeping at night in your bed. There are so many benefits. I can't think of them all. You go through a training process with your educator that lasts typically about 6 weeks, and it's very specific to the patient. The individual, some people learn much quicker than others, and others need more support, more time to take in all of this information. It's a lot of information. It can be very intimidating. But as we go through the process, the intimidation comes down and the confidence goes up. And we don't send you home if we're not sure that you're going to be able to be successful. There are always bumps in the road along the way, but those bumps smooth out over time and the confidence builds.
Oh my God. It was a challenge, very challenging. They give us these books, and we had looked at these books. It was so hard. After a while, it became a little easier, and Susan would leave us by ourselves. Okay, you guys got to do this. You got to go do that. And she'd be in there making sure that everything was all right. But it was challenging for the first couple of days, yeah. A little scary. I did feel nervous about everything. I was worrying about everything that was going to happen. Sometimes when you don't hold your pad on and the blood's flying up in your face, you don't, that's a little nervous. Then Sharon will say to me, I don't know where we can't give you all your blood back. I said, well, what the hell? I don't need it anyway.
It was, you know, it was hard. It was scary. You know, that first day, I think my head was spinning by the time we got out of there. And when we came in the second day, Susan looked at us and she said, did you guys sleep last night? And we both said no, you know, because she's trained so many people and she knows how overwhelming it is. My first thing I wanted to say to Susan was, we can't do this. There's no way. There was absolutely no way I will be able to do this. Richard is going to have to keep coming to Prince George. And she just said, don't worry. You are exactly where everybody else has been that has come into this program. You're nervous, you're overwhelmed. There is a lot. This is a complicated machine. There is a lot to learn. So she said, every day you're going to feel a little bit better. And that is what happened. After the first day, I was completely overwhelmed. I came in the second day, I still knew nothing. And then she said, so today, this is what we're going to focus on. And it was just those little bits that amazing trainer, Susan, did. You're never alone. You got a question, you ask. There's no stupid questions. They've seen it all, they've heard it all, they've seen people break down in tears. And that's okay. If you want to cry, cry. And then after the first week, you go, I know how to do that. I know what that does. And I've got a book, and I know how to reference it now. And they spent a lot of time with you on that. And then after the second week, it's, I know how to do that and that and that. And it's like anything. You're going back to school. And by the end of 6 weeks, we knew how to do it. I was putting needles in his arm. I didn't think I'd ever be able to do that.
Every day got better and better and better. And then I really look forward to us coming home. You know, like the fact that we progressed enough that I was able to come home and bring the machine and do all the work. I'm a little more afraid of that machine than I am of whatever happens to us. You don't know when you hear the crashing and the banging and when the buzzer's going and, well, what the hell's that buzzer for? What's that? You know.
I was very confident at their ability to succeed. Just their determination to have ownership of their lives back. I knew that there would be bumps in the road because it happens to everybody. I don't think I've sent anybody home that hasn't had a, oh my God, I can't do this day, or 2 or 3 of them. And it's just walking them through and reassuring them that it's okay. You've not done anything wrong. It just, these things happen. Let's just erase that and just start all over again.
Yeah. Done. Say to Penny. Why would I be scared? What would I have to worry me or bother me? Like I said, I had the best nurse there with Susan and Sharon. And besides that, Adam, I've been through so bloody much before it, and all the other things that happened. There was nothing there that we done that ever was any scarier than the things that happened to me already.
So it's an extraordinary machine. It is, I don't know who dreamed this up, but God bless them. Throw that over on the chair, honey. Yeah.
I wish I had a crystal ball.
There we go.
But if I look at the trajectory and the commitment and his resilience, I have no doubt. And what is really impressive is his belief in himself and Sharon's belief in Richard that they can do it together. They're a fabulous team.
Oh, I think it's impacted my life, yes. Quite a bit. I mean, I've had to accept a lot of things that I didn't really do before, didn't want to accept before, but you have to accept that stuff. When the doctor told me I'd lived to 91, I thought, shit, I'd never make 92, never mind, never 91. I'm quite happy.
But we have goals. We do have goals. And I think that's important. Instead of just feeling overwhelmed and, oh my God, this is it. This is the end of the line for us. We're just going to be stuck with this. We can see the future now. A year ago, I don't know. A year ago, I think we were thinking, well, the thoughts were there of the end is coming pretty fast here. Now we know it's not. Now we can look forward, and we've still got a lot of living to do.